Howdy everybody, here in sunny Vice City, and today we're going to be taking a look at Grand Theft Auto from a perspective that you've probably never seen it before. If it wasn't for these very important 7 characters, well, there wouldn't be any Grand Theft Auto, or it wouldn't be the Grand Theft Auto that we know and love today. If we change just one minor thing from one minor character, that would cause a butterfly effect of so many things to happen that would inevitably lead some Grand Theft Autos to not even happen at all. So if you learned something new from this video and you just find it enjoyable, please I ask that you give the video a thumbs up. A little love goes a long way. Let's go for 2,000 likes on this video. This is just really, really crazy stuff here. "1984, the year of GTA Vice City stories. Now, this game would not be possible if it wasn't for that of Pete Vance. Pete Vance is the unseen brother of Lance Vance and Victor Vance. 2 guys we get to know between Vice City stories and Vice City. We hear a lot about Pete, this other brother, the youngest of the 3, who, like I said, never makes an appearance in-game. And the whole reason that Vice City stories actually takes place is because of Pete's sickness and asthma. He's got very bad asthma problems, and because of this, Victor Vance joins the army to raise money for Pete Vance's treatment. This is heard many times throughout Vice City stories, and like I said, if it wasn't for Pete Vance and his advanced asthma, Vic Vance would have never joined the army, meaning he would have never met Jerry Martinez, meaning that Jerry Martinez would never have him doing dirty work, he would have never got caught, kicked out of the army, and thrown into this criminal underworld in Vice City. Now that brings us to GTA Vice City 2 years later in 1986. Now Vice City, believe it or not, would not be possible if it wasn't for Sonny Forelli, the main antagonist of the game. So, little backstory on Tommy Vercetti. Prior to 1971, Tommy Vercetti joined the Forelli crime family. He worked his way up through the ranks and became very, very powerful. And because of this, Sonny Forelli became jealous of Tommy's increasing power, and he set up an ambush to actually take out Tommy. But believe it or not, Tommy Vercetti, even though he can't swim, Tommy Vercetti killed 11 men, hitmen sent to take him out. He took them all out. This coined Tommy as the Harwood Butcher. And because of these events and Tommy killing these 11 hitmen, he was actually arrested and convicted on 11 counts of murder. And he was actually sentenced to death. But because Tommy kept quiet and he didn't sell out any of the Forelli crime family secrets while in prison, well, Sonny Forelli actually has somewhat of a nice side, which is going to come back to bite him, but Sonny actually pulled some strings to commute Tommy Vercetti's sentence, and after 15 years of being in prison, Tommy was released in 1986. So if it wasn't for Sonny Forelli being jealous of Tommy, well, he would have never sent hitmen to take care of Tommy. Tommy would have never killed all those hitmen. Tommy would have never went to prison. And even going to prison and all of that happening, if Sonny would have never pulled strings to commute Tommy's sentence, then Tommy would still be sentenced to death, and Vice City would have never happened. Now moving on to 1992, we have Beverly Johnson, CJ's mom. But before 1992, let's go back to 1987. That's the year that Brian Johnson died. Brian Johnson is the brother of CJ, Sweet, and Kendall. And Brian died tragically, and it's never explained in-game what exactly happened, but because of this tragic accident, Sweet blamed CJ. And because of this blame and guilt, this causes CJ to move all the way across the country to Liberty City. Now, back to 1992, 2 Ballas members, under the orders of Frank Tenpenny and Eddie Pulowski, attempted a drive-by on Sweet, and they were trying to kill Sweet, but Sweet was not home at the time, and unfortunately, Beverly Johnson, their mother, was home, and she was actually killed. And because of this brings CJ back to Los Santos for her funeral, which in return causes CJ to want to stay, rekindle this relationship with his brother, sister, Big Smoke, Ryder, and all of his friends growing up, and also exact revenge and find out who was responsible for the death of their mother. And like I said, if it wasn't for the death of Beverly Johnson, then CJ would have never had any reason to return to Los Santos. He would still be doing petty crimes in Liberty City, and this is all actually explained and showed to us in the introductory DVD to GTA San Andreas. Now let's fast forward to 1998 and talk about Liberty City Stories. Now this game really wouldn't not be possible, but would still be possible if it wasn't for Salvatore Leone. So after leaving Las Venturas in 1992, Salvatore Leone goes to Liberty City as of around 1994. Now, under the orders of Salvatore Leone, Tony Cipriani killed a rival made man in 1994, and because of this, he had to leave Liberty City, and he was in hiding until his return to Liberty City in 1998. So if it wasn't for Salvatore Leone ordering Tony Cipriani to kill this rival made man family member in 1994, then the events would be way different. Tony would have never went into hiding. Who knows what could have happened to him between 1994 and 1998. Salvatore could have had him taken out, taken care of. Who knows exactly. But if it wasn't for Salvatore Leone, then Liberty City Stories probably wouldn't be happening at all. Now let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 3. We're now in the year 2001, and GTA 3 would not be possible, if you really think about it, if it wasn't for CJ and Catalina. Now, CJ isn't mentioned in GTA 3. He's never even seen in the game. But to understand this, we have to go way back to 1992 and GTA San Andreas. And basically, way back in 1992, if CJ and Catalina, who were an item at the time they were dating, never split up, then that would cause Catalina to never meet Claude in GTA San Andreas. And if she never met Claude, well, they wouldn't have become an item, and they wouldn't have went on a 9-year crime spree together. Who knows what would have happened? Catalina would probably have taken out CJ, which would have been very sad. So I'm kind of glad that CJ and Catalina split up for many reasons. Obviously, because GTA 3 and the events of that story would not be possible. Because if Claude and Catalina hadn't met, they wouldn't have gone on this crime spree. That wouldn't have led them to the introduction of GTA 3, where Catalina betrays Claude after a bank robbery, causing the whole story to happen after that. We're now in 2008. Now, I've actually made a dedicated video to this topic before, but Grand Theft Auto 4 would not be possible if it wasn't for a character by the name of Darko Brevik. Now, Darko Brevik is literally the reason that all of Grand Theft Auto 4 happened, because if Darko Brevik never sold out his squad, which Niko Bellic was a part of, for $1,000 to fund his heroin addiction during the Yugoslav wars in the mid-90s, then Niko Bellic would not spend the next 10 years of his life looking for Florian Kravik and Darko Brevik, the only two men to survive this ambush of their squad during the Yugoslav wars. So this causes Niko to find out which one of these two guys betrayed and sold out the squad. So, contrary to popular belief, Niko Bellic did not go to Liberty City for the big ol' American titties that Roman promised. Niko Bellic goes to Liberty City to look for Florian Kravik, who he believes is in Liberty City. Now, once finding Florian, he discovers that it wasn't Florian who sold out the squad, leaving Darko Brevik, which inevitably leads Niko to find Darko, but all of this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Darko. It wouldn't have led Niko to Liberty City to exact revenge on the person who was responsible for the deaths of over 15 people in Niko Bellic's squad. And lastly, we've got Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, Grand Theft Auto 5 is a pretty comical, important character. And I've also made one dedicated video to this before in January 2018, but that is the tennis coach, Kyle Chavez. Now, if it wasn't for the tennis coach using his job to do rich men's wives, because he's a tennis coach who only teaches rich women who are married to rich men, if it wouldn't have been for Kyle coaching Amanda, well, Amanda wouldn't have cheated on Michael with the tennis coach. Michael wouldn't have caught them cheating. And because of this, that led Michael to follow Kyle into the hills of Los Santos or Vinewood and tearing down what he thought was Kyle's house. Well, it turns out to be Martin Madrazo's house, which leads Michael to have to come out of retirement to pay back Martin Madrazo for these damages. To fund this and the damages, that leads to the jewelry store heist, which leads to Trevor finding out that Michael is alive, which inevitably leads to everything else happening in the Grand Theft Auto 5 storyline. But with that said, those are 7 very important characters in Grand Theft Auto that without them, there would be no chain of events that would lead to the Grand Theft Auto story modes that we know and love so much today, and inevitably some characters wouldn't even exist at all, like Tommy Vercetti. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up. Consider subscribing. That way you never miss out on another daily video game upload. But with that said, I'm Zach Cox. I love y'all so much, man. Thank you for supporting me day in and day out. And with that said, I better see ya in the next video. If not, well, nothing I can do about that. So see y'all next time.